We briefly spoke last week where I mentioned this 2020 congressional report that was put together by a number of experts within the U.S. intelligence agencies and Department of Defense and outside consulting agencies like In-Q-Tel. I'm not sure if people are familiar with In-Q-Tel, but that's the CIA's division of venture capital in synthetic biology. So these were the individuals that put together this report. And as I went through it, what became very apparent was that China, entirely on their own, but China and the People's Liberation Army and the CCP have a goal to essentially use the genetic data from not just all of humanity, but for all biological life forms. And it's being stored in the National China Gene Bank. And they collected the DNA from American citizens, millions of us, and they collected it from billions around the world legally using the COVID-19 PCR tests, which were simply used to collect the genetic samples of DNA, again, from global civilians and global military. And what the report also goes into is that the Chinese National Gene Bank and the Chinese military and the biotech industry can then use this DNA to make more virulent bioweapons. So that's not just across an aerosolized attack or a biological weapon injection. They can weaponize any of our food supply, any animals. They can create, as I talked about almost 2 years ago, they can use this to create bioweapons that you would be inoculated with by eating lettuce. The Chinese National Gene Bank has over 10,000 genomes of lettuce species. So it's an alarming report. And I think what was even more alarming was the way that this new authoritarian regime, under the Chinese governance was able to achieve power was by winning the info war, was by winning over the psyche of the American people and the global population to submit to an authoritarian regime for the sake of power and to disregard human rights. It's right there in the report. That was their number one mission.